Talk about your book a little bit. What inspired you to write the book? Well, overcame adversity. And we have a great guest. Hello, Buffalo. Welcome to the DJ Starr Show. Welcome to the DJ Starr Show. I'm your host, DJ Starr. We have a great guest today. His name is Ulysees Wingo. He is running for Masten District. So let's welcome Ulysees to the show. Hey, how are you?
Good, I'm well. Thank you very much.
It is so glad to see you and have you here as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So talk a little bit about, tell me in your own words, describe a district council member and their responsibilities.
Well, Buffalo has 9 councilmatic districts, and each councilman in his own right represents that constituency of that councilmatic district. Me, myself, personally, I believe a council member is a person who actually listens to his people, his residents, his constituency, his stakeholders, and he fights for those peoples and what they want to see in their communities. Okay. He ensures that resources are flooded into those communities as well. And it's a person who really just stands up and says the things that need to be said so that we can get attention to the things that matter to the people in those communities.
Now, you have been a lifelong resident of the Masten District, am I correct?
That's correct.
All right, so you're kind of new to this, right? All right, so here's a question. What would you do when you win the Masten seat? What would be some of your immediate concerns?
Well, one of my immediate concerns would be to strengthen our block clubs. And that, yes. Strengthening block clubs, we found out in my time as the program coordinator for Buffalo Promise Neighborhood. I was the BCJI, which stood for Burn Criminal Justice Innovation. I was that program coordinator, and I was over the Crime and Safety Division, which is basically responsible for ensuring that we change the perception of crime and safety in that community. And one of the things that we discovered in our work is that streets who have robust block clubs, good, strong, vital block clubs, right, they have fewer instances of crime. So what we have to really do in an immediate kind of way is make sure that we strengthen our block clubs and get new block clubs started and ensure that these people who are heading up these block clubs are legit, because we don't want the wrong person.
That's right.
In charge of the block clubs. But that's one of the most immediate things we can start working on doing. Okay. And then right behind that will be to make sure that the administration in that office in Masten is transparent. We want to make sure that the people know what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and what we are, and how we're going to do it. So those are the things that I can do almost immediately.
So the block club, I think that's so cool. When I was growing up, we had block clubs. It seemed they were more common.
Right, right.
Okay, so what, in your own opinion, why do you think we kind of got away from that?
Well, the reason we've gotten away from the block clubs and how many there were and how robust they were is because we have fewer homeowners in Buffalo. The housing stock is okay, but we have fewer homeowners, and we found that the more renters you have in the community, the less participation you're going to have in these block clubs, because these are like transient guests or residents in those areas, and we don't want transient guests. We want homeowners. We want homeowners, because renters have a different mentality from homeowners. Yes. Some renters take care of their property, but homeowners care about their property, and they care about their community, especially the community they live in, and they've chosen to live in and finance a house for 15 to 30 years.
That's right. So over the years, like you just said, you just mentioned how, you know, there are more renters than homeowners. Why do you think that is?
Well, me personally, I've seen the transformation. As you mentioned earlier, I'm a lifelong resident of Masten, which I am, 35 years. So I've seen the transformation that my immediate community had gone through. When I was growing up, it was a very diverse, very diverse community. Yes. We had all types of ethnicities, all types of nationalities on our street. Growing up, I could walk to Central Park Plaza. Hello.
And a bike too. Ride your bike.
Yes, I could literally walk at 9 and 10 years old to Central Park Plaza, and my parents not worry about me because the community will be looking after little Wingo. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we used to have, we just had so many things that were available to us, and then those homeowners, they started to die. Right? And then the children took ownership of those houses, and they sold them to landlords and investors. And now you have this influx of renters where there were homeowners. And out of these duplexes that we had over in the community, the owner would live upstairs or downstairs, and the renter would live downstairs or upstairs opposite the landlord. So you had this relationship there going. We had tenants back then who cared about their property.
Yes.
And they would stay in homes
For
10,
years.
15 years.
For years.
We don't have those type tenants anymore.
No.
And I'm just generally speaking, I don't see it. Maybe there still are some tenants. I don't, one in particular who has been in her house for the last 10 plus years, but we just don't have that type of commitment. When you have to rent a house, you can always just up and leave. If the conditions don't fit you, you can just up and leave. But if you own your home, you want to think twice about where you're going to buy your home. Then you're going to also want to know who's going to move in next door to you. But I think that that's the reason why we have less participation in our block clubs, because we have a lot more renters, and the renters just have a different, outlook than homeowners do.
That is so true. And you mentioned earlier, you used to formerly worked with Buffalo Promise neighborhood, and your focus was crime and safety.
Right.
Okay, so how did you lead that initiative and why?
Well, I led that initiative because I had great minds around me. And it's easy to do hard work when you have a lot of great minds around you. Kenya Hobbs, who was basically one of my coaches while I was at Buffalo Promise neighborhood, he had this thing that he would say all the time: many hands make light work. I told Kenya, I'm going to say that 3 times. This was my 3rd time. If I say it again, it's mine, just so everybody knows that's mine. Right. But many hands make light work, and you have to surround yourself around great people. So one of the things we prided ourselves off of was the ability to make relationships, build partnerships, and build rapport with people. So we did that work through partnerships with the community, with stakeholders, through residents, through the Buffalo Police Department, who was a major partner in our efforts to make sure that our footprint over in University District was becoming safer. Also, we had a partnership with UBRI, the University of Buffalo's Regional Institute. Our research partner was he had a great mind, Bart Roberts, smart man. So we had a lot of great people around us who actually, everything we did at Buffalo Promise was data-driven. We used evidence-based practices, and we also used best practices from other cities. So we knew what we were doing had a reputation of working.
So I'm assuming it worked.
Yes, we have.
So what type of measurements did you guys use?
Well, as far as the metrics, we wanted to ensure that people felt safer going to work, going to school, while they're in school, while they're at work, and their commute, going to the corner store. How do you feel in your own street? How do you feel in your own home? So one of our metrics in particular was ensuring that the children felt safe and the parents felt safe having their children go to those schools in our footprint. So we would survey the community. As a matter of fact, we had a perception survey when Buffalo Promise first went over to Buffalo, that footprint over in University District. They did a perception survey to see how the residents and the stakeholders felt about the community that they worked, lived, and played in. So we found out that since my time at Buffalo Promise neighborhood, from the time they started, people were beginning to know who Buffalo Promise was and what it was. They were beginning to see the changes that were being made in Buffalo Promise neighborhood, including those block clubs and the impact that they were making in the schools in our footprint. So we always went back to the community and to the public to ask them, how you think we're doing?
See, I like that.
Yeah.
That is so important.
Yeah.
Also, you worked with the Boys and Girls Club, am I correct? Okay.
Right.
Now, so you had some impact on young people. All right.
Yes.
So how did that work for you?
That works out great for me. I have 5 of my own young people
Really?
that I have to raise in Buffalo. Yes. 16, 14, 13, 5, and 3.
Wow.
One boy, he's the 14-year-old.
So one boy, not girls.
Yes, I pray for my son.
Dominates the house.
But we have 5 children that we're trying to raise in Masten District. We have 5 children that we are actively engaged with as far as their education and ensuring that they're academically successful as well.
That's right.
So we want all children in Buffalo to feel that same sense of support. So my time at Buffalo, at the Boys and Girls Club of Buffalo, was instrumental in my outlook on how we can do that, especially as it relates to education, how we approach education. Even with my time as being a substitute teacher, that has also contributed to my outlook and how we can affect or make an impact with these youths that are in these schools, because most of our kids are at risk.
Now, what do you think that is? Because it's like you turn on the television and you turn on the news, and you're like, oh my God, not another, homicide or shooting, or is becoming very sad.
You know what aggravates me about that? They only if it's not bad news, it's not news.
That is so true.
And my problem is just yesterday, anecdotally speaking. Yesterday there was a group of kids coming from football practice, about 30 of them. Only two of those youth knew me, right? And they knew me from school, substitute teaching.
Okay.
Or from the Boys and Girls Club. I can't remember which one they remember me from, but they knew me from there. And they knew that Mr. Wingo don't play. Right. Mr. Wingo ain't gonna compromise, and I don't negotiate with kids. When I say something to a youth, I expect you to act out whatever my directives were. And they respond. So there was about 30 youth on the street walking from football practice.
Okay.
And I'm driving down the street, and they were just engaged, roughhousing, and from a distance, it looked like they were really fighting.
Okay.
I was going to use their vernacular and say, getting it in. But then I'm like, what's this? So I pulled up with my truck, and I just sat there, because I wanted to see if I knew any of those children, and the rapport that I have with that youth, and plus it was in my community, my neighborhood.
Okay.
I was going to make sure that that child kind of set the tone. So that actually played out for in my favor.
Right.
So I pulled over, I looked at these youth, I just looked at them. And I asked them, what do you expect an adult to think about your behavior right now? And then you wonder why, if a police officer were to pull up, he would treat you a certain kind of way. Look how you're acting right now. Now this is what I want you to do. I said, I want all of y'all to disperse, and I want you to go home. And guess what? I'm going to follow you till you get there. I followed them down the street.
Are you serious?
Listen, I followed them down the street, around the corner, down the street, waved to my mother, seriously, waved to my mother, and kept, my mother was thinking, well, why is this driving 5 miles an hour down the street? And I escorted all of those youth home. Now, and that's not because I'm running for Masten, but I am running for Masten District Council member. But that's not something I do. Run for Masten District.
It takes a village, and that's what the problem is. We have gotten away from that. And I think what you just did, listen up, especially men, follow Mr. Wingo's advice. Because like you said, the rough house, you're just passing by, oh my God, it's a perception, you know. And like you said earlier, you get tired of turning on the news and hearing the negative stuff. Because I'm tired of myself, you know. And you're like, oh my God, come on, another one, you know.
And the same things are happening in other areas.
It's just not being publicized.
No.
That's the thing. That's why a part of me, I'm like, oh my God, here we go again, That's why it's so important to, help our young people do something positive, feature them on television in a positive way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because they're not all bad.
They're not. And one more thing,
they're not
too.
bad. They just misled or no guidance.
That's what it is. They're left to themselves. They're left to themselves. But just speaking on terms of reporting, we held the first of its kind community briefing in University District for Buffalo, through Buffalo Promise Neighborhood. I'm getting tongue-tied.
I know.
Tongue-tied.
BPN.
Right, BPN, right. So we did the first of its kind community report out, which was essentially a way for us to let the community know things are happening and this is the way it's being done. This is the first time they really learned how things are being done. Now, the police didn't give them their strategies.
Of course not.
And their tactical information, but of course, you could see, like, for instance, because of the block club and the involvement of the residents, the use of 311, for instance, Oswaldo Mestre did a great training for us and let them know what 311 was and what it can be used for. We also had other police officers come in and explain where 911 is done. It's actually ran by the county. People don't know that. But Oswaldo Mestre did a great job of informing our residents what 311 was. And we let them know what was being done in the community. So, for instance, on Shirley Avenue was one of the worst streets in the city.
Shirley?
Shirley Avenue.
Wow.
One of the worst streets, not just in our footprint, not just in University District, but in the city of Buffalo. Between Billy and Comstock. It was, now I'm just promoting Shirley right now because we had a major success over there. And that it being one of the worst streets, virtually no violent crimes on Shirley. The time I left resigned from Buffalo Promise neighborhood.
Wow.
And it's all because of the residents' participation.
Okay.
Our great superstar community police officers, Derek Floyd and Andre, listen to me, Derek Floyd and Angelo Threes, those guys really put in work, and they really care about the community as well.
Excellent.
Also, the relationship that I had with Buffalo Police, Chief Carmen Menza and Captain David Stabler, great people. I mean, these are people who really care about the community. And when we had Deputy Commissioner Beatty as our chief, everybody loved Beatty. Everybody loved Chief Beatty. But now she's a deputy commissioner. Because of the work she's done, it was recognized, the progress that was made, the relationship, the rapport she had with the residents. She wasn't playing around with anybody. And they understood that, so the residents knew that I can make a difference.
That's right.
So they contributed to the efforts. Shirley Avenue, almost no violent crimes.
Oh my gosh.
That's the kind of success we're talking about.
That's right.
That's the kind of changes I'm talking about. Those are the type of differences we can make if we pull together and pool our resources. That's the kind of difference we can make.
So aside from the block clubs in the Masten area, what else would you do?
Well, we want to ensure, because of Damone's new promotion as the executive director of the Buffalo Employment Training Center, we have a great relationship with Damone right now. We want to build that partnership up between Betsy and Masten to ensure that our residents are prepared. We want to ensure everyone has upward mobility. We want to ensure that we build the capacity of all of our residents, and not just make sure that they're getting jobs.
Right.
We want them to be prepared for the job, so that when they get the jobs, they're ready for the jobs.
Okay, that's excellent.
So we want to ensure job creation.
And see that right there, that's through your block club meetings.
Yeah.
You could definitely, bring that up and promote that as well.
And right on Northland, the governor was just here. He made a major announcement regarding that $44 million project over on Northland Avenue with the training center coming up. Our people will benefit from that. Why? Because they'll be prepared for the jobs that are coming, like Sun City, Solar City, and IBM. All of those jobs will be prepared for when they come.
Wow.
Now, somebody has said this at one point, if you're prepared, you don't have to worry about getting prepared.
That's
so
right.
when the opportunity is here,
you're ready.
the door opens,
You're ready.
You're ready.
You just walk on through.
Walk on
That's
through.
what it's all about.
And that's what I plan to do with Masten District Council member. I've been doing the work. We haven't had the fanfare, the notoriety, and the publicity behind the work we've been doing. We've been kind of doing it behind the scenes.
Okay.
We didn't need any promotion of the work, but the residents knew the work that we were doing.
Okay.
And because we were doing the work there, we know the work works. So we just plan on transplanting those initiatives right over here to Masten and ensuring that our people are taking advantage of the same opportunities that are available to the people over in University through Buffalo Promise neighborhood.
Okay, I like that. Now, as well, there are 4 candidates running for the Masten seat.
Right.
We know is Sharon Belton Cotman, excuse me, and yourself, Lamone Gibson, and Michael Woodford. He's in the conservative line, excuse me. Now, how do you plan on winning the primary on September 10th? And according to reports, Sharon and Michael are the stronger contenders. So what do you think about that?
Well, I do believe that the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong.
All right.
But it's given to those who endure to the end.
Okay.
And I got my sneakers on. I got my running shoes on. And I've been training. So we're going to see who in this race. Well, everyone in this race has great intentions. And we all have a heart for what we're doing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it.
That's right.
I have a great respect for the work that Sharon Cotman has been doing on the school board and what she's done, how she advocates for the people and what she believes in. I have a great respect for Lamone Gibson and the work that he's been doing with the peacemakers. Lamone and I worked together as I was the crime and safety coordinator at Buffalo Promise neighborhood, so we worked on initiatives together. So I have a great deal of respect for Lamone. We all have our own personal reasons why we're running. As far as how we're going to win, I just plan on working. There's this thing I keep saying to all of my campaign staff is, let's get this work. Let's just go out and let's get this work.
That's right. All right. Now, you're also a man of faith.
Yes.
Because you're an elder.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, all right. So you're a man of faith and you're entering into the political arena.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some people may not agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your stance on that?
I would ask them what disagreements they have.
Mm-hmm.
My position is I'm not proselytizing. I'm not going out preaching on the council floor.
Okay.
I'm not preaching my faith. I'm not imposing my beliefs on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's get this straight. I am a man of faith.
Yes, you are.
And my faith does direct what I do.
Okay.
I do have a moral compass, which we believe the Bible.
That's
So
right.
as far as doing your neighbor's right, yes, I am my brother's keeper.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone wants to argue with me being my brother's keeper, then let them argue that. But I do believe that
Right.
being a person of faith has no that to me that has every reason more why I should be running. And as far as separation of church and state is concerned, that just means that the church has the ability to govern itself.
Mm-hmm.
The church is totally autonomous. So the church has its own hierarchical leadership that
Mm-hmm.
it goes through, and each church establishes their own constitution, whatever rules or
Their own
tenets they want
doctrine.
to, they want doctrine, whatever.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm not preaching to anybody on the council floor, but that does direct my moral. That is my moral compass.
I think what people may think is that, okay, you're a man of God or faith, and they may say, well, what if you are put in a compromising position where you have to make a certain choice or decision that may not be against your better judgment? What do you do? What would you do?
So we will go all the way back to the first question you asked me.
Mm-hmm.
What is a council member?
Mm-hmm.
A council member speaks for the people.
Right.
He speaks up for the people.
Okay.
Now, I'm a part of the people,
Mm-hmm.
but if there's 30,000 people in my councilmatic district, not 30,000 people, but if there are close
Right,
to 30,000
right.
people in my councilmatic district, and 25 of them say, Wingo, we want you to vote yes. Wingo was part of that percentage that says, I don't like this, but guess
Right.
how Wingo's going to vote? My constituents,
Mm-hmm.
my people, they said yes. So I'm voting for my people.
Gotcha.
It doesn't compromise me at all.
Okay. All right. You guys hear this? Okay, Ulysees, all right. Councilman Ulysees, all right.
Speak that.
That's right. Now, we're in the election in November. What are your plans to help our youth stay on track?
Oh, my youth.
That's your passion.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
yeah.
Youth are my passion because I know what kind of upbringing I had, and I
Right.
really want them to experience that same sense
Mm-hmm.
of community, that same sense of pride and ownership
Okay.
in Buffalo and in Masten that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I want to do initially is ensure that our youth have engaging and empowering programming. And working through the Boys and Girls Clubs and working and even talking with the Boy Scouts of America,
Uh-huh.
we have a lot of programming at our disposal that we can actually make good use of if the people knew that it was there.
So how would you tell them? I mean, people think, oh, it's not nothing for these kids. They just hang around outside, loitering, and they're bored.
Mm-hmm.
So in their minds, it's not that many programs for our city
Mhm.
children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what is your answer to that?
Well, we have social media
Uh-huh.
that all of our children are on.
Right.
And it just takes someone who is very savvy with the social media that we spoke about earlier to ensure that these kids are getting the messages through there. And then we
Okay.
also have people like us who like to look at things in paper and look at
Okay.
newsletters that are delivered. Because Masten does have a newsletter that we use to disseminate information about the community and what's going on.
Okay.
We also have billboards in the community that we can utilize. And we also have public access that we can utilize
That's
as well.
right.
you
That's
know?
right.
So there are avenues, there are ways to market and publicize good initiatives that our youth are involved in. We just have to make sure that the information is out
It's
there and
available and that they can definitely get it.
and accessible.
about
We have
it.
to make sure that it's accessible.
Right, definitely that. That is so true. All right, so talk about your family a little bit. 'Cause you're married with 5 children.
Yes.
How does your wife feel about this new avenue you're venturing into?
Listen, my wife sometimes I think is more excited than I am.
Really? She's very supportive.
My wife also works for Boys and Girls Clubs of Buffalo. She's been there for about 8 years now. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's a director there. She's director, education director.
Okay.
And she is very passionate about instilling values in
these
our
children.
youth. Yes. And she's also a teacher at School 37. She's a school teacher at School 37. So she definitely has a heart for the youth. So she's really excited about the things that we can do to impact our youth, to help with that positive change, usher them to that next level of success in their lives and in their families' lives, and just ensure. I mean, one of the best feelings in the world, and this is not an immediate payoff type of job. Anything in public service or working with children is not something that you will get paid off immediately for. But
that's true.
When I was a chaplain out at Gateway Longview, which was a residential treatment facility for youth that, of course, at-risk youth. One of the best things about that job happened 5 years after I had left Gateway Longview.
Wow, what happened?
The youth that I was preaching to, the youth that I was serving there at Gateway, that I was mentoring and counseling and just having one-on-ones with, those youth came back to me looking for me. They found me on Facebook. They found me at church. They saw me in Walmart. Big hugs, much love. And I mean, I'm telling you, there's no feeling like that in the world.
That's why it's so important about how you carry yourself, what you do, and what you stand for. Because you don't know who's watching, and they definitely look up to you.
Yes, that's one thing. My father told me this and hit me like a ton of bricks. Now, my father knew I loved him, right? So my father said, Ulysses, the way you look at me is the way your son looks at you.
That's right.
I lost all feeling in my legs. Seriously, I almost hit the ground because I could not believe that somebody looked up to me the way I looked up to my father.
That's right.
And my wife's mother, her and her mother had the same relationship like my father and I had, just real close. You know what I mean?
Right.
And her mother passed 5 years ago, and my father passed 3 years ago. So now we have each other, and we're in this thing, and she's just so excited about just being able to have an impact on these youth, being able to instill and encourage them.
Right.
I mean, it is just a phenomenal opportunity, and it's not one that you're going to get immediate, you know, gratification from. Well, you do get fulfillment from it, but it's something that you'll get later on down the line, and it's just going to be so sweet.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be so sweet.
We're coming to a close pretty soon. What is your advice to someone who is looking to get into the political office?
I would say keep an open mind.
Okay.
And put your sneakers on.
And get ready.
And get ready.
He is ready.
Get ready to run. Because you're going to literally have to run.
Yes.
From one house to the next house. Get what you want the people to know about you together. Let them know what your intentions are and how you plan on doing it. Within a minute, run to the next house and introduce yourself. And let them know what you're trying to do and how you're going to do it. And then run some more to the next house and let them know what you're trying to do.
That's right.
Yes.
So what's your contact information real quick?
Well, I can be reached on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/Wingo for Masten. That's WINGO And then we're also on, what is it, Twitter?
Yes, Twitter.
Wingo for Masten at Twitter as well.
He tweets?
We tweet.
Awesome.
I don't quite get it yet, but we tweet.
You're trying.
At least I'm trying.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, this was an awesome interview, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
So good luck in the primaries and the election as well.
Thank you very much.
And you're doing great things.
And one more thing, too.
Yes.
The email address is wingoformasten@gmail.com, and our headquarters is 1392 Kissington Avenue. No, that's my P.O. Box. P.O. Box is 1392 if you want to send any contribution, but if you want to help out, we're at 890 Kissington.
All right, excellent. Well, that's it for today. Hope you guys had a great time. I enjoy Ulysses. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And this is it. So God bless.